I hear strange stories all the time, but I never imagined I'd have one of my own. This happened about a year ago, on a night I'll never forget. I'm in a band, and if you've ever been in one, you know how hard it can be. Some nights you play to packed rooms. Other nights you're lucky if there's a single person watching. You take every opportunity you can get, hoping that one day it all pays off. That night, I drove nearly 2 hours to play a show in a small town. The rest of my band offered to pick me up, but I'd come straight from work, so I decided to drive myself. Money was always tight. Music came first, everything else came second. There were weeks I'd choose putting gas in my car over paying my bills. Looking back, it wasn't the smartest decision, but at the time, it felt like the only choice. On the drive to the venue, I noticed my fuel gauge was already dangerously low. By the time the show ended, I knew I didn't have much left. After packing up, I stayed behind for a while, grabbed a drink with some locals, and didn't start driving home until almost 2 in the morning. Before leaving town, I stopped at a 24-hour gas station. My card wouldn't work at the pump. I searched my wallet and found only $5 in cash. It wasn't enough, but it was all I had. I texted my brother, hoping he could send me enough money to fill the tank. It was late. He never saw the message. So I took my chances and started driving. I didn't make it very far. About an hour from home, my engine sputtered to a stop. I had run out of gas. The road was completely deserted. My phone barely had any signal. There wasn't another car in sight. For a while, I debated what to do. Calling someone at that hour didn't feel right, and sleeping on the side of the road didn't seem much safer. So I locked my doors, leaned back in my seat, and decided to wait until sunrise. The silence was overwhelming. I tried distracting myself with my phone, but nothing would load. The weak signal made it almost useless. As I sat there, I couldn't stop thinking about how badly I'd let my life spiral. I promised myself, if I got home safely, things would change. Then something caught my eye. About 30 or 40 feet away, standing in the darkness beside the road, was someone wearing a hood. They weren't moving. They weren't waving for help. They were simply standing there. A chill ran through my body. I immediately checked that every door was locked. There were no other cars, no houses, no lights. Just me and that lone figure. I glanced around, making sure nobody else was hiding nearby. Nothing. When I looked back, the figure had begun moving. Not walking normally. Moving slowly, painfully slowly. Step by step, closer and closer. I've never felt so helpless in my life. I was sitting inside a car, yet I couldn't escape. It felt like being trapped in quicksand. Eventually, the figure stopped only a few feet from the passenger door. I could finally see it was a young woman, probably somewhere in her 20s. A hood covered most of her face. I shouted through the closed window, "Are you okay? What do you need?" She didn't answer. Not a single word. She simply stood there, watching me. Every few minutes I tried again. Nothing. No movement, no response. Just silence. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. I tried to ignore her. I hummed songs, thought about guitar chords, anything to keep my mind occupied. But every time I looked up, she was still there, watching. Finally, I decided to record her. I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, and pointed it toward the passenger window. The moment the recording started, everything changed.
She lunged forward. Her fists slammed violently against the passenger door. She yanked on the handle again and again, trying to open it. I dropped my phone in panic. The sounds she made didn't even seem human. It was somewhere between a growl and a grunt. Low, harsh, wrong. For a split second, I looked directly at her face. She looked completely normal. Blonde hair, young, nothing monstrous about her. And somehow, that made it even more terrifying. I knew I couldn't stay there. I grabbed my phone, my keys, and my guitar from the back seat. I unlocked the driver's door, took one deep breath, and ran. I sprinted down the empty road as fast as I could. After a while, I risked looking back.
She wasn't chasing me. She was simply walking, slowly, in the same direction. I shouted one last time, "What do you want?" She never answered. She just kept walking. That was enough for me. I ran until I reached the small town I had driven through earlier. As dawn finally broke, I called my brother. He picked me up, and together we returned to my stranded car. That's when we noticed something strange. The back door was wide open. We searched the vehicle. Nothing was missing. My music equipment was still there. Nothing had been stolen. My brother joked that maybe she'd just wanted somewhere warm to sleep. But another thought crossed my mind. What if she had climbed into the back seat and waited for me to come back? Thankfully, I'll never know. I've heard every theory imaginable about that night. Maybe she was mentally ill. Maybe she was simply lost. Maybe she wanted help. Or maybe it was something far more sinister. I'll never have the answer, but I did learn one lesson. No matter where I'm going, I never let my gas tank get close to empty again, because I never want to find myself stranded on a lonely road, waiting for another stranger to step out of the darkness.